Monday greetings and welcome to this week's first edition of Primetime News with me, Joy Gosses. If it's your first time joining us, please do subscribe, hit the like button and be sure to click the bell icon to stay posted on the latest happenings locally and internationally. Leading tonight's bulletin, the Ministry of Health and Social Services has called for calm as they closely monitor the reported new COVID-19 variant Omicron detected in South Africa, Botswana, and Hong Kong. Maria Kanjungu compiled our first report.
The new variant, now named Omicron by the World Health Organization, was first reported in South Africa and has been classified as a variant of concern. The variant reportedly has a large number of mutations, and preliminary evidence suggests an increased risk of reinfection with this variant as compared to other variants. Ministry of Health's Executive Director Ben Nangombe, in a press statement issued on Friday, said the ministry is on high alert, adding that at the moment the variant is a new development and as such a lot remains unknown and unconfirmed around it. Nangombe added that currently Namibia has no reports of the new variant and the ministry will continue to monitor the situation, including increasing its surveillance by subjecting positive samples to regular genome sequencing for possible identification of any variant of concern and interest. He further said the Ministry of Health and Social Services strongly encourages the public to get vaccinated against COVID-19. He added that there is no evidence that the current vaccines against COVID-19 are not effective against the new variant.
A top epidemiologist warned earlier today that the newly discovered Omicron variant is likely to fuel a surge in South Africa's COVID-19 cases. This could in turn see daily infections triple this week. AFP brings us more.
Health monitors reported over 2,800 new infections on Sunday, up from a daily average of 500 in the previous week and 275 the week before. Dr. Salim Abdul Karim said at an online health ministry press briefing, they can expect that higher transmissibility is likely, and so they are going to get more cases quickly. He added that they expect to top over 10,000 cases by the end of the week per day and see pressure on hospitals within the next 2 to 3 weeks. South African scientists announced the new highly mutated variant on Thursday, blaming it for a sudden rise in infections in Africa's worst hit nation. South Africa has recorded 2.9 million cases and 89,797 deaths, although those figures proportionate to its population are still significantly lower than other heavily affected countries, especially in Europe. President Cyril Ramaphosa on Sunday called on world governments to urgently and immediately reopen their borders to the region. He accused rich countries of breaching pledges to support tourism in poorer nations they made at a G20 meeting last month and denounced vaccine inequality. Ramaphosa said the only thing the prohibition on travel will do is further damage the economies of the affected countries. He further pushed for vaccines as South Africa's most powerful tool against the new variant and urged citizens to get jabbed.
The remains of the late All People's Party president Ignatius Shikhameni, who passed away on 10 November, were laid to rest Saturday morning at Sarusungu Cemetery, opposite the University of Namibia's Rundu campus. Sawe Hausiku, our Kavango regions-based journalist, filed this report.
Mourners, family, friends, and all People's Party members dressed in their party colors all came to bid farewell to Shikhameni. The funeral was attended by President Hage Geingob, who had conferred a state funeral on Shikhameni. Other leaders in attendance included Mark Henry Venani of the official opposition Popular Democratic Movement, Prime Minister Sarah Kohongelo Amadila, and the Minister of Works and Transport John Mutorwa, who directed the funeral service. On behalf of the family, John Walenga thanked Geingob for according Shikhameni's state funeral. Walenga also thanked founding President Sam Nujoma and former President Hifikepunye Pohamba for their comforting messages to the bereaved family. During the lowering of the coffin, Shikhameni was honored with a 13-gun salute.
In an unfortunate incident that transpired on Sunday morning in Windhoek's Agstaland residential area, a 28-year-old man was carjacked and robbed of his belongings. Suzette Chitara compiled this report for us.
A Namibian police force crime report issued on Sunday said the incident occurred at around 12:30 midnight on Sunday when 4 suspects impersonating police officers conducted a roadblock and stopped the complainant's vehicle before jumping into the vehicle. The report read, the suspects allegedly pushed the complainant and his nephew out and drove off with the silver Toyota Corolla taxi. They also stole a cell phone and 200 Namibian dollars. No recovery of the stolen items as well as no arrest has been made. In a separate incident, the police at Keetmans in the Xaras region are also investigating a case of attempted murder where a man was stabbed several times after being robbed of his cell phone. It is alleged that a group of about 12 men approached and robbed the victim and his friend, who were on their way home at around 1 o'clock in the early hour mornings on Saturday in the Kron Lane residential area. The victim was taken to the Keetmanshoop State Hospital, where he is admitted in a critical but stable condition. No arrests have been made yet. Police investigations in all matters continue.
Stand by for your top roundup. In the business and economic segment tonight, we begin with Sino-Africa relations. Data from the General Administration of Customs earlier today showed that trade in goods between China and Africa rose 27.4% year-on-year to 1.34 trillion yuan, which is equivalent to $209.7 billion in the January-October period. Xinhua brings us this report.
The growth rate of imports outpaced exports in the first 10 months. China's exports to Africa reached 782.54 billion yen between January and October, up 24.5% year-on-year. Its imports from Africa hit 558.14 billion yen, up 31.7% year-on-year. China's exports to Africa mainly consist of mechanical and electric products and labor-intensive products in the first 10 months. The exports of mechanical and electric products stood at 355.19 billion yen, accounting to 45.4% of the total value of the country's exports to Africa in the same period. The export of labor-intensive products reached 213.38 billion yen, accounting to 27.3% of the total.
Moving on to the automotive industry, Nissan bosses have backed the car maker's British plant as they announced plans to spend more than $17 billion globally on developing electric vehicles.
At a news conference in Japan, the car manufacturer, which has a major plant in Sunderland, revealed it would develop 23 new electric models by 2023. By that time, the firm aims to have half of its global output to be made up of electric vehicles. Nissan Chief Operating Officer Ashwani Gupta stressed the importance of the Sunderland plant for the firm's plans. During a news conference, he told AP Media, Europe will take the lead on electrification around the world for Nissan. In Europe, Sunderland is the one which will take the lead towards electrification. He said it was not only leading in electric vehicle production, but also battery manufacture and globally produced green power with its EV36 Belt Hub, the concept it announced with government support in the summer when Prime Minister Boris Johnson visited the plant. The firm will now expand the idea around the world. Nissan said it will spend 2 trillion yen, around 13.2 billion pounds, on electric vehicles over the next 5 years.
Your sports update is up next, but first the economics roundup, and a look at what the weather has in store for us tomorrow across the country. sports segment, we begin with news on the newly formed Namibia Handball Federation. The Namibia Sports Commission today officially handed over a certificate of registration to the Namibia Handball Federation in Windhoek.
Speaking at the handover ceremony in Windhoek earlier today, Freddie Muya, Chief Administrator of the Namibia Sports Commission, said the granting of the certificate of registration in essence implies the provisional registration of the body.
There's one crucial thing that we also want to highlight. We need to have a structure within our federation, a governance structure and an operational structure, a management structure and a governance structure. So those two, there must be that separation as we grow. It does not necessarily mean the president is the one who's running. No. We've got the secretariat that must be responsible before they implement what is there. So that is key in terms of governance. So because most of the federations, people who are presidents, you know what they believe? They think I'm the president, I'm the owner of the organization. No? We've got the secretariat, the management, that separation of power is needed. That's what is killing most of the federations. One is not that separation of power as you grow. That's why we've seen even the courses that the colleagues work with you, there is that separation of power. So we really request for it.
Muya added that the Commission granted them a period of 2 years to allow them organize their structures from regional level until they hold elections to choose the national leadership. He noted that the Commission wants them to commence working from the regions and make their way into the capital rather than vice versa. The Chief Administrator stated that the Sports Commission already has offices in the regions and are willing to second their members to help the NHF establish offices throughout the country. Currently, an interim leadership is leading the federation, with Isi Nakamwe as its president. In addition to this, they are also required to solicit for partnerships and sponsorships with a view of developing the sport of handball.
Moving on to football, Portugal's National Health Institute announced earlier today that the 13 reported cases of COVID-19 at the Portuguese football club Belenenses are probably linked to the Omicron variant. More on this developing story from AFP.
If confirmed, the cases would be the first in Portugal linked to the new coronavirus strain. The Health Institute added that one of Belenenses' players had recently travelled in South Africa, where the Omicron variant was first identified. Dozens of nations from Europe to Asia have suspended travel from South Africa and its neighbours since South African scientists flagged Omicron on November 25th. The World Health Organization has labelled Omicron a variant of concern, saying it poses a very high risk globally, while scientists are still assessing its virulence. Portuguese league officials met on Sunday to discuss the farcical game between Belenenses and Benfica, which had to be called off in the second half after Belenenses started with only 9 players, including 2 goalkeepers, due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Belenenses played one of their goalkeepers, João Monteiro, as an outfield player and had no substitutes at the Estadio Nacional, where Benfica strolled into a 7-0 lead before halftime on Saturday. The Primeira Liga game was called off by referee Manuel Mota 3 minutes into the second half after Belenenses were reduced to 6 players. They had emerged after halftime with only 7 players before Monteiro went down injured.
Your sports roundup is up next. With that, we have come to the end of tonight's bulletin. A friendly reminder, please subscribe to this channel, like, share with friends and family, as well as add your comments in the comment section. Do make a date with us tomorrow for your Primetime News Tuesday edition. From myself, Joy Gosses, and the entire production crew, it's good night.